California Condor, the Thunderbird, the Wild West, home to scintillating sun, gorgeous sandy beaches, and the bright lights of Tinseltown. California is also home to a fairly diverse ecosystem, filled with several extraordinary animals playing various roles in the circle of life. Circling high above the rest is a majestic bird of prey that forms part of the region's organic cleanup crew. The California Condor, aka the Thunderbird, is one of nature's most efficient garbage disposal systems, but its own odds of long-term survival are down in the dumps. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the following video as we examine this important species in detail and show you all there is to know about the California Condor. What exactly is a California Condor? The California Condor is a large bird of prey native to, you guessed it, California. It's important to note that bird of prey is derived from its taxonomic classification rather than the condor's actual behavior. In reality, it is a full-time scavenger of anything with flesh and even your trash can. Ornithologists refer to this awesome bird as Gymnogyps californianus, which seems a bit harsh because the condor is pretty nice when it's not tearing through flesh with its cleaving beak. The California condor is one of two condors found in the Americas today. The other is South America's Andean condor, Vultur gryphus, the largest bird of prey in the world by weight and wingspan. Both condors, along with 5 American vulture species, form the family Cathartidae, which is more commonly called New World vultures. Vultures from Africa and Eurasia are known as Old World vultures and are classified under the family name Acciptridae. Despite being known as condors, the Californian and Andean birds do not belong to the same genus and therefore are not as closely related as their names and geographical proximity would suggest. Gymnogyps, the California condor's genus, used to have at least 5 species, but only Californianus remains to tell tales of that, and barely. In fact, even the California condor is technically extinct. Its natural run as a wild animal ended with the capture of the last wild condor in 1987. Luckily, conservation efforts were in full swing by then, and this great symbolic bird has been steadily reintroduced to the wild skies of its ancestors. Speaking of symbolism, the condor was long regarded as sacred or culturally significant to several Native American tribes like the Wyandotte, Pomo, and Chumash. Some tribes hailed it as akin to a deity, playing a central role in the recreation of man after a great flood. Others regarded it in the opposite light, as a bad omen, curse, or even the embodiment of the angel of death. However, the Hollywood condor's most famous legend is its ability to form thunder when it flaps its wings. For many native tribes, the sight of the Thunderbird in flight was an omen promising life-giving rain and all-around prosperity. Most of those tribes don't exist anymore, so the prosperity angle is questionable. However, California is one of the richest states in the U.S. today, so maybe the condor delivered. In modern times, the condor has been celebrated by being put on state currency and being made the mascot of a few sports teams. The Bakersfield Condors, an American Hockey League team from Bakersfield, California, are a prominent example. Science has also identified the condor's important role in helping the circle of life tick on smoothly. They help break down flesh that would otherwise rot slowly and expose nasty bacteria to the ecosystem. This ecological function and historical significance are why scientists and the greater community are pulling out all the stops to save this critically endangered creature. Appearance. The California condor sits comfortably among the largest birds in the world. Interestingly, males of the species are larger than females. While this is the standard for many animals, this is quite rare for birds of prey. Adult condors have a body length range of 43 to 55 inches and an incredible wingspan range of 8 feet 2 inches to 9 feet 10 inches. The condor's wingspan is the 4th widest among birds of prey and the 14th widest among all birds. 10-foot-plus wingspans have been reported in the past, but these claims have never been verified. Weight ranges from 15 to 31 pounds, subject to sex, age, diet, and level of activity. Captive birds with less activity may grow heavier than their wild cousins. However, the general average for wild condors is 18 to 20 pounds. These dimensions and weight make the California condor the largest land bird in North America and the 3rd largest North American bird behind the trumpeter swan and mute swan. Some ornithologists believe the condor is the bird behind the popular phrase, "Is it a bird or is it a plane?" After all, a steady soaring condor kind of resembles a small aircraft from a distance. When fully grown, condors are covered in jet black feathers from shoulder to tail. Think Grim Reaper with the hoodie down. This dark outfit was probably part of the whole angel of death thing some Native Americans were wary of. Well, that and a relentless pursuit of dead flesh. Only when the condor takes flight does it reveal narrow triangular strips of white feathers on the inside of its great wings. Like most vultures, its head is completely bald, revealing its grayish skin and colored dome. The condor's head can range from a pale yellow to a reddish orange, and the skin can go flush with emotion. Most of the beak takes on the coloring of the head, but the tip is usually white or ivory. Vultures tend to have bald heads for hygienic reasons. Because their feeding style is essentially diving headfirst into rotting flesh, a feathered head would trap gore and bacteria and potentially block or infect sensory organs like the ears and eyes. A clean-shaven dome reduces this risk greatly. The condor's feet are also naked. The toes are flat with straight and blunt talons, a trait largely unique to vultures. Most other birds of prey have sharp curved talons and specialized hind toes to aid with gripping prey during the hunt. Vultures like our condor don't do much hunting or killing themselves, so their feet have evolved for walking to something someone else has already hunted. The condor's feet may appear paler than its head because of another hygienic adaptation. Condors routinely urinate on their feet to wash away the grime they step in when feeding. The acidity of this waste basically bleaches the bird's feet over time. Condor chicks are covered in fluffy gray down until they are almost as big as their parents. Where do they live? Prehistorically, California condors were abundant all over North America, with fossil evidence being dug up from southern Florida to Canada. However, the end of the last ice age, about 12,000 years ago, marked a drastic reduction in animal life on the continent. As more and more big animals died off, the condor's food source shrunk until it was eventually squeezed towards the western edges of the continent. Historically, the greatest numbers of Cali condors have lived on the west coast of the U.S., the southwest, and northern Mexico. Your best bet for seeing a condor up close would be in captivity. The San Diego Zoo is the world leader when it comes to captive breeding for reintroduction to the wild. If you want to see them in the wild, we recommend rural California, Utah, and Arizona. California's Los Padres National Forest is home to two of the world's leading condor sanctuaries, Césped Condor Sanctuary and Ciscoc Condor Sanctuary. In Mexico, you can go to Sierra de San Pedro Martir National Park in the state of Baja California. Like most of your favorite celebrities, Hollywood condors generally prefer a quiet private life away from prying eyes. Their habitats are typically found in rocky forests and oakery plains. Large trees like oaks and pine trees are common sites for nesting pairs, but the birds will also set up on cliffs and small caves along cliffs. The two aforementioned California sanctuaries were set up there specifically because the natural real estate is condor heaven. California condors are territorial birds rather than migratory. They do migrate if an area gets too crowded or if food becomes scarce. A single bird can have an immense range that allows it to travel well over 100 miles in search of food. Exact territory sizes are unknown, but the two California condor sanctuaries cover a total of 250,380 acres. The state of California also granted a further 316,050 acres for condor conservation back in 1992. Though condors have individual territories, they routinely overlap because of food and nesting sites. As such, they have social hierarchies based on age, physical size, and other unspoken qualities. When congregated around food, dominant birds issue audible hisses and grunting sounds to assert their place in the food chain. Smaller and younger birds wait their turn. Reproduction and life cycle. Condors are notoriously slow breeders, a common trait among large vultures. The birds reach sexual maturity around 6 years of age. A male will perform a classic song and dance to woo a girl, hoping to win her heart with his flushed red head and pronounced neck feathers. If he succeeds, the pair will mate for life. Condor pairs are highly collaborative and will take turns incubating eggs and feeding young. After a 2-month gestation period, the female lays a single bluish-white egg. If an egg is lost, the female can lay a replacement egg. This replacement trick has proven invaluable to breeders and conservation efforts as a whole. Chicks are wholly dependent on both parents for the first 6 months of life. The parents feed and protect the young from predation. Generally, other birds of prey are the main threat to condor chicks. Black bears will also raid for eggs and chicks if the nest is within reach. Chicks begin flying at 6 months, but continue to live and forage for food with their parents until they are about 2 years old. Only then will the parents mate again and build a new nest. A condor can live a very long life, with an average lifespan of about 50 years in captivity. Endangerment and conservation. The IUCN lists the California condor as critically endangered. It is believed that there are under 600 individuals in the world, with about half being in captivity. This makes the Thunderbird an exceptional rarity, and seeing one in the wild is even rarer still. Various reasons have been attributed to the bird's decline, from outright hunting and loss of habitat to indirect poisoning and collision with electric lines. Whatever the exact reason, it's clear that human activity is the main cause. Fortunately, conservation efforts began just in time. In 1992, the U.S. federal government issued the Los Padres Condor Range and River Protection Act, which barred hunting and set swaths of land aside for condor sanctuaries and reintroduction sites. To date, efforts in line with the act have cost over $35 million, making the condor one of the most expensive endangered animals. Reintroduction efforts are ongoing in several U.S. states and Mexico with promising signs. The condor's slow reproduction rates and continued urban expansion present major stumbling blocks, but at least this special bird finally seems to have a future to look forward to.